One.
Hello, everyone.
Yes, go ahead, Yona.
Thank you very much in the first place for having the chance of presenting in this conference and sharing our bug bounty experience after more than 4 years. We are really happy to show you how this beautiful journey was for us. So we will try to explain if it's really worth it to have a bug bounty program and why we have a magical number for our teams. Also show you some program metrics. You will see some of the most known bug bounty platforms, and I will have the chance to speak about 2 of them because we've been working with both the most known platforms for bug bounty. You will also see Visma's top 10 vulnerabilities found by the hackers. And I will show you our program structure and how we do the credentials management. But overall, the presentation will be about a tremendous learning experience for us in the security team, but also for our development teams. But before I jump into more details, let me tell you a few words about me. I work as a security engineer in Visma for more than 3 years now. I am also currently the bug bounty program manager and also known as the mother of hackers because I try to take care about our hackers always. But in my real life, I am the mother of 2 wonderful boys, and I am based in Timișoara, Romania. And now I will give the word to our security director, Espen.
Hi, everybody. I've taken the name grandfather of hackers because Ioana is one of my colleagues and I'm older than her, so I have to be a grandfather. So if you're listening out there, my dear daughter, Andrea, you haven't given me a grandson yet or granddaughter yet, so get to work. So in my job, I am the director of security in Visma. To get this title is not very well kind of spread out. So what it means is that I have several CISOs that work for me in different countries and different territories. And there are directors and security managers and all over the world that works in this construction. Privately, I am a married man. I have 3 daughters and midlife crisis. That's my passion. And these days, I look forward to enjoying sailing. As you can see, this is one of my most recent midlife crises. And I've also been told that I'm supposed to ride some horses this summer, but that's not happening yet. So that's a new midlife crisis that I've just found. Next one, please. So I'll give you a short introduction of Visma and VSP, these acronyms. So Visma, as many of you know, is quite a large company in the Norwegian context. We build and deliver software, and we buy companies that build and deliver software. So on average, we buy approximately 1 company a week. So last year it was 42, and this year the aim is slightly higher. This means that for us, scaling and automation is truly, truly important. We use automation a lot in bug bounty. It's, of course, lots of automation in here also, but the human factor is also really key. So this the sheer scaling. So we are represented. We have kind of employees in 37 countries around the world, and there is 200 plus companies. So if you look at the job description for what I do, well, there is 200 plus companies. Each of them have a managing director. Each of them have a security manager, at least. There are many security engineers. They have a board. And one of my roles is actually to train the chairman of the boards. That's part of my job. And then they are the ones who manage security themselves. So just the sheer magnitude and scale of this construct means that it is impossible to do this in the traditional sense with having a simple, let's say, a 27001 that spans everything, because the entropy is so enormous. And the sheer cultural barriers between lots of countries and lots of interest groups means it's a challenge, but this is fun. So now you know something about Visma, VSP. That is a construction that we have made called the Visma Security Program. It consists of several asset-specific protection programs, kind of modeled slightly around the common criteria way of thinking. And in one of these programs, that's the VASP program, which is Visma Application Security Program, bug bounty plays a really big deal. And it's also part of several of the other programs that we have, for instance, for infrastructure and for marketing websites and stuff. So we have expanded bug bounty programs. So it covers a lot of ground. So without further ado, go on, Ioana, tell us a bit more about what is bug bounty.
Yes, so most of you know what a bug bounty program is, but if you need to know from our experience what makes the difference, I will try to explain our view and mention that bug bounty is different from, for instance, a one-off pen test or systemic pen testing. And the difference is made by the number of hackers in the first place, because they are many, or they can be many. Also, the diversity between the testers is something to be taken into consideration, because they have niche skills. Each individual has different skills. They are specialized. And another important thing is that the tests are being performed continuously. So here, in my opinion, what makes the difference is the element of the unknown and the humor factor and their creative minds, which apply perfectly to our problems.
Yes, and this, of course, gives what we have seen is the lovely application of stress, doesn't it?
Indeed. So yeah, basically, the more researchers you have, the more findings you will get, and in this way, you will continuously improve your security in a fast and controlled way. Because yes, they do have legal permission, of course, to do this. Here you have some of the most known bug bounty platforms and tools. Luckily, we had the chance to work with two of them, HackerOne and Integrity, and I will try to make a comparison between the two based on our experience. We started with HackerOne, now we are on Integrity. Have to say that HackerOne is the biggest platform on the market, and they are Americans, while Integrity is smaller, but still they are the biggest in Europe, and they are growing exponentially, as we have seen while working with them. And I can say that there are no big differences in the number of reports and the money that we spend on both of the platforms. Most of the hackers also chose to follow us when we moved to Integrity. And from a collaboration perspective, we've done it well with both of them. Integrity, being a smaller company, they afford to be more open to their customer needs and give us new features faster when we request them. And also regarding the invoicing process, this was simplified once we moved to Integrity, simply because they are based in Europe just like us. Also, we've managed to organize last year a live hacking event, and their involvement was really remarkable, helping us to have a successful event. You are probably wondering which are the candidates for the Bug Bounty program. And yes, we do have some requirements for the team that want to join Bug Bounty. The most important is that they need to perform all the available internal tests before they join and to solve all the bugs that are found internally. So the purpose is to have 0 known vulnerabilities when they join, and because we don't want to pay for something that we already know about. Of course, there's some work to be done in regards of preparing the environment and the test accounts, because usually they need to pre-create the accounts. To have some test data on the environment and also some instructions for the hackers, just to make it easy for them to test them properly. The commitment that they need to take is that they need to validate fast, and we have 4 business days for validating the bug. Because we want to pay immediately after triage. This is the reason why we're having these times. And for fixing the bugs, they have 90 days, except criticals, which of course those need to be solved faster. And we have 5 business days for this. And let's see a bit our journey and how everything went for us in time. So as you can see, it started some years ago in 2016 in Finland. In the beginning, we knew nothing, but we believed that this could be useful. So we had some surplus money and wanted to get started in a very small scale. We had back then only 4 assets added into scope, but we could immediately see the results. The reports were coming in, and also impactful reports just for those 4 assets. And then something important happened in 2019 because bug bounty was approved at corporate level. So what we did is that we selected some product teams and defined an onboarding process and started to create awareness about this so that we have more teams joining. And this happened, yes, because we had around 30 teams added into scope during 2019. This gave us the chance to select some and start a public bug bounty program in the beginning of 2020. This happened. The launch was still on HackerOne. But in 2021, there was a change for us because we moved to Integrity platform. We wanted to try something new, so we moved to Integrity. Back then, we already had many teams, and we've also added marketing websites into the scope. And because of this, there was a need of making a difference between these domains because not all of them have the same importance for Visma. And then what we did is that we defined 2 tiers of importance, and based on that, we paid the bounties. Also, the last year was an important thing happening because a live hacking event was organized together with Integrity. So basically 2 weeks of live hacks for the most of our important assets, and with, of course, important findings for us. This year, in the beginning, it's something that we've done recently. It's that we moved our responsible disclosure program where all the Visma assets are in scope. It is now on Integrity. We had a responsible disclosure program for some years, but this was not available on Integrity. And for this year, of course, the plan is to continue to add more and more teams. And for this, we will need to create also more awareness about the bug bounty program. So those are the plans for this year.
By the way, Joanna, is there any swag to be found on responsible disclosure? I know that some people are asking for swag.
Yes, hackers like swag. They used to ask us when we ran the responsible disclosure program outside Integrity, and unfortunately we couldn't do this because of the administrative part with the swags. But now on Integrity this is possible, and yes, we are happy to offer them swags.
Yay.
For valid reports. So these are the programs that we currently offer on Integrity, and you've heard me speaking about private and public programs. Well, the main difference between them is that in a private program, the number of hackers is limited, and of course, we try to invite the best ones. While in a public program, you have more exposure, yes, but you can receive submissions from the entire community. And then the quality of the report is better in a private program just because of the chosen hackers, because we always try to invite the best on the market. Our approach is to move from private to public when the teams are enough mature. And I can say that the average of valid reports per service is very similar in both programs. So that is why both of them are valuable to us. A live hacking event is also a private event. It was organized online. Usually it's held physically, but because of the pandemic situation, we organized it online. And in 2 weeks, we've got more than 360 submissions, and we paid around 90k euro. So it was really, really a successful event with many findings in a short amount of time for the most of our important assets. Responsible disclosure program is a public program as well. But there we do not offer money, we just give swags, and everything is in scope. Everything owned by Visma is in scope.
You mentioned one thing, I just forgot, because you had the word HOF. So Hall of Fame, that's also an important thing for us, Ivana, just to mention that. So
Hall of Fame is our page where we publish the most valuable researchers and the ones that are sending us valid reports for the Responsible Disclosure Program. It is a sign of appreciation for them. So if they want to be listed on our Security Hall of Fame, for us, it's an honor to do it.
yes, and I could add that anyone out there who's looking to hire good security people, go look for them in Hall of Fames because they have shown moral and ethical good compass and good skills. I know that I do whenever I get people to apply for me. If they are on Hall of Fames, then they're normally good people.
Exactly. So regarding the credentials management, I can say that most of our services need pre-created accounts for the testers. We cannot give them the possibility to self-sign in simply because they cannot test in this way. So then we need to create accounts for most of our teams that join Bug Bounty. And in the beginning, we used to send out these credentials manually via email. We were using a Google form, but of course that proved to be very time consuming. And once we extended the scope, the need of having an automation came in. So what we did is that we have developed our own tool for credentials called Bug Bounty Self-Service Portal, and we made it open source. So I put there the link to the GitHub repository. Feel free to get use of it if you need it. It's a very easy interface with only 2 roles. Admins, of course, which can administrate the page and add new assets and credentials, and the hackers, which are able to claim their credentials very easily from the tool, and whenever they need access to it, they have them there. I have to mention that this tool proved to be very, very appreciated by the community. We've got some feedback from the hackers that we work with, and it is probably among the first tools of this type on the market. Really proud of this.
Yeah, and I'm so proud that we chose to share this kind of as an open source tool. You can just go out there and use it if you want to go bug bounty. And this is really key. I think we didn't know this when we started. Credentials management was really a big thing, but it became evident quite fast when the mother of hackers came to the scene, because the mother needs order. That's what we have learned. By the way, also, so this is our shout out to our colleague Per Torsheim, Mr. Password. So as you can see from this, we actually presume at some place that the passwords of the users of systems will be stolen or will be hacked at some point. So we assume breach. That's kind of the default test method that we do have. We assume that people at some point will be replaced by a malicious person. So we don't only want to test the perimeter of the application, we want to test the depth of its defenses. That is one of the really strong points. That is why credential management is so important to us. We want them to be legitimate users.
Exactly, and the tool itself, it's of course part of our bug bounty program. It's available for the testers.
But of course it is.
Okay, and here we have the core of this presentation, Visma's top 10 vulnerabilities. I will speak from the bug bounty perspective, and Espen will tell you more about other trends in other parts of the Visma security program. But what I can say about bug bounty is that in general, we see bugs that cannot be found with automated tools. If you look on the chart, more than 50% of the issues that we get are access control issues and IDORs. So this proves that you need to really understand the application flow of which only the human mind is capable. So in my view, this is one of the added values in general into a bug bounty program. Of course, we do get cross-site scriptings and CSRF and all kinds of information disclosure issues and privilege escalation in the top 10, but most of the bugs are represented by this type of issues.
So if you look at and this is interesting, because if you look at this this image, normally you have the shift left and the shift right way of thinking in the SDLC. So, and we have intentionally left this the wrong way around. So bug bounty is obviously on the shift right side, basically closer to the end product, while static analysis is more on the shift left side. So bear with me. So if you look at static analysis, which is something that is a quite important part of the testing capabilities when you make software. So you can find a certain kind of bugs. This reflects some of the data we have from our own systems, and we have collected vast amounts of data over the years. We have been doing SAST for some more years than we have been doing bug bounty. But the consistency of the findings is quite clear, is that we find different bugs, and static analysis is still very important to us. And we can also see that if we don't do the earlier tests, like the shift left components, we find the same bugs later on in bug bounty. And they're also quite expensive in bug bounty. So it's a good way of doing hygiene work. It is to do several tests before you arrive in bug bounty. As we will show later on, a bit later in this presentation, we will show you some other facts from our data collections. But this is a very, very detailed field. So if you're really interested in learning a bit more on the differences between the shift left and the shift right model, according to our own data, and we test over 700 million lines of code on a daily basis in the static analysis parts. We have published a couple of books, and we published lots of research, and it's all available for everybody who wants to read and understand more. So this could be a topic for a complete presentation or a full workshop if you want to. So I'll leave it at that. There are different bugs that we found in SAST than we find in bug bounty. And Joanna will go a bit deeper into to the bug bounty findings. And I will show you some comparisons a bit later on and try to explain some of the correlations between the shift left and the shift right components.
Yeah.
So, well,
let's see some highlights now, because I guess everybody wants to know the most interesting findings, and I've enumerated here some of the best ones that we've got in time. So HTTP request smuggling is one type. Then many IDORs, not all of them are, of course, with high impact, but there are IDORs that, for example, they are allowing to dump all the users from the system which were assessed as higher or critical. Usually we pay IDORs as a medium severity. We've got remote code executions. Yes, not many, but we've got some. Account takeover through different creative methods. So these are critical and exceptional findings that I have to say that we rarely get. But of course, they could have huge consequences if not surfaced and resolved before they are being exploited in the wild. And I chose to speak about a special report that we got during the Livehacking event last year, just because it reminds me of an emotional moment when I had the honor of rewarding the most expensive bug. So as you see, we paid more than 9,000 for a single bug. And I will just start by quoting the hackers. They said, we pulled some tricks out of our heads to escalate a CSS injection to local file inclusion and CSRF. And this led to account takeover, having access to all the customer data. They put some hard work in this because it was a team effort, resulting not only in the most impactful report, but also in a very well-written one. So that's why we decided to increase the severity from critical to exceptional and pay accordingly, and also giving them a bonus for being the first exceptional report in the Livehacking event. This report was also a potential CVE. It is not yet decided and published. It was one of the third parties that we are working with where they found it, the vulnerability itself. So because of this, I cannot give you further details, but the hackers, I can tell you that they are planning to have a write-up about this themselves. So hopefully we will all be able to find out more about how they did it.
Yeah, and kind of since the CVE has not been kind of fully disclosed by the affected external party to Visma, so that actually makes me think you're actually not only the mother of hackers, you're also the mother of 0 days, aren't you, Joanna?
Well, I'm not really the mother of 0 days, but I am very glad to have been part of such an event. And because I can see the immediate result of my work, so I am really happy that I helped with what I could to surface this kind of bugs in such an event. So yeah, it was an honor for me to be there. Now I have to say some words about our submission handling performance, because here is the merit of the entire team, not only the triage team, but also the development teams that are fixing the bugs. You can see the life cycle of a report and an average of how much time we spend for each phase. So for the triage phase, the average is represented by the days, the time taken to assign the submission to pending state, or to give a first answer to the hacker, or to take the report in work. And that is less than a day. As you can see, we try to be as fast as we can. And then for validating the bugs, we have 4 business days, and we are below with the average. That is the time to accept the report and to pay it, or of course to take a decision in case it's not valid, to reject it. But this needs to be decided together with the responsible team. We cannot take this decision completely ourselves in the security team. Still, we are below 4 days. For fixing the bugs, we have below 50 days. That is the time taken to resolve the bugs that are valid. So yeah, I want to say a big thank you to my team for these times.
So in this one, this is what I promised you earlier when I was making the comparison between the shift left and the shift right. So, and this is our own stats. As you can see, there is some long lines. The long lines are expensive, indicating a high cost. The short lines are cheap. But there's also some magic number here. The green, if you can see under the word payouts, there is a green little blob. I'm sorry that this is quite small, but if you'll see the short line, it says global median. So the global median is 1,700 euros-ish. And that is a really, really important figure to remember for all of you. Because 1,700 euros per year is what it should cost to be on a bug bounty program if you do it carefully and well and practice for a while. So if you have, for instance, 10 services in your company and you would like to submit them to a bug bounty, that should cost you about 17,000 euros per year in bounties alone. But there are some long lines here, and how do we explain them? Well, that's quite interesting. So when we have done the research on it, we find that some of the long lines come because of complexity. So if you do have an old monolith that you want to test, there is always some nooks and crannies in that big construction that is left untested. It can be poor asset management early on. So if you have bought the company and you don't have full control of everything before you submit them, you can get these effects. And we have learned this. And we don't mind, because I still have this simple way of thinking that every dollar I spend on bug bounty is $10 saved elsewhere. So if I then look at these lines and I look at the ones who have performed consistently well over time, these are the short lines. And these short lines have gone through the validation or the vetting process that Joanna has mentioned earlier. So they have been through all the testing. There are no known vulns when they arrive here, and they stay in the program for a very long time. So when they have stayed in the program for a very long time, this acts as a validation exercise for them. And they're trained and they're conditioned, and they're becoming more and more mature and able to handle the real world out there. So in very, very short explanation to this one, the long lines can also be very beneficial to you. So if you, for instance, have a team or a service that you really want to discipline, you want to do it fast, well, throw them into Ioana, throw them into bug bounty fast. I can assure you they will have a magical moment when the report starts coming in. And I do remember many of these times, Ioana, 2 of these long lines is because of that. The 2 longest lines are just because of that. And it was a tremendous learning experience for the teams, and they had to learn new ways of dealing with security. And then they realized maybe we should have done all the tests on the shift left before. It's a good learning experience. Just throw them into bug bounty. or throw them into the real world and see what happens. We have never tried to throw someone directly into public bug bounty, have we, Joanna?
No, directly into public, not.
No.
But
Maybe
there
we
the
should do that.
exposure is bigger, yeah.
Yeah, that's 300,000 people hacking them at once. That's kind of much to take in for many. So, but maybe we should do that once, just as
Maybe,
an
yeah. Let's see what the future brings.
experiment. Well, go for the next one.
So what do you think? Is it worth it?
Oh, hell yes. Yes.
Yeah, there's a lot of money, but I think hiring more pen testers, like, for example, we have 150 hackers invited in the private program, this would have cost us for sure more. Yeah, bug bounty has been proven in these 4 years as one of the best ways to minimize the risks and secure our assets, and probably with, I'm pretty sure that with it's like this, that with lower amounts of money than taking other methods.
I could also mention something here, Joanna, is that we actually considered hiring 150 pen testers, but that was an unfeasible kind of thing for us. But how do you get 150 pen testers? What should the overhead cost be? So do you use the traditional rule of thumb for management, that you have to have a manager for every 8 persons? How many managers do you need to have when you have 150 pen testers? And are pen testers a very homogeneous and easy to manage group? Hell no, they are unicorns. So they need to be managed individually, or they need to manage themselves. So it's just not feasible. When you do scale, bug bounty is, well, kind of a good thing for you, I guess.
Yes,
we still have
and
pen testers, of course.
yes, of course. And having a security breach would have been for sure worse, way more worse than paying this amount of money for ethically having all these bugs available and having the chance to fix them. Yeah, so definitely it's worth all the effort. And I've identified some factors for running a successful bug bounty program based on this experience that we have. The most important, I would say, is that being fast will maintain their engagement. So paying immediately after triage and not wait until the bugs are being fixed will really engage them even more. We use different methods for maintaining hackers' engagement. The most important is the way we conduct. We try to be fair and explain our decisions every time, and we try to be consistent with these decisions and act in the same way in the same situation. Also, transparency is one of the keys. We are transparent not only with the hackers, but we try to be transparent also with our internal teams, because our bug bounty project is available in Jira for all the Visma employees, so that they can read the reports and they can anytime learn from the findings that we get. We also ask the internal teams that are part of the program to share the most valuable reports and their experience. And we also try to share the findings with the hackers where this is possible. We disclose some of the vulnerabilities, but we also do this with our customers so that everybody can learn from this. If I will be to summarize the bug bounty journey, I would just say that it has been a tremendous learning experience, and it was for us in the security team, but also for our development teams. Inside the security team, it's a continuous teamwork. And yes, very important, we do have the management support to make the magic happen. But we also have a good triaging team that ensures good response times. And also the capability of sharing the knowledge that will really help everybody to learn more about cybersecurity and about ethical hackers. We do this externally as well. For development teams, they are able to see how the hackers think in the first place. They are able to understand and have all kinds of questions after they see the report, like how does it work? What does it do? what mistakes would I have made? How could it be abused for something else? All these questions come up once they see and they read what the hackers submit. Of course, they are definitely more confident in their security posture just because they are able to fix the bugs before they are being exploited. Both parties have learned, and I have to add here something that is felt by us in the security team, but also by the development teams. We really manage to control the stress in crisis situations, because when you see a critical report, it's unavoidable to be stressed in the beginning.
Yeah, and I could also add for my own part, Ioana, is that this has been a significant factor for reducing my stress and giving me peace of mind. And I can assure you that all the other kind of CISOs and security managers that work with this and have been touched by bug bounty feels the same thing. You get exposed to this, and you learn that you can actually cope with really serious bugs, and that makes you stronger and more peaceful.
Exactly.
So thank you, Ioana, I would say.
Thank you also for having this chance. And we are at the end. In case there are questions, please feel free to ask us.
Yeah. Use the chat or whatever you want.
Yes. And Joanna and Espen, thank you again for a great lecture. Please, people, if you have any question, put in the chat. Otherwise, you are free to also send us question or anything afterwards, and we will pass them through to Johanna and Espen.
Sure, or use our email or social media accounts. Anytime you want to know more about bug bounty, I am willing to help and open for this.
And a comment from me, if you really want to contribute, go to our responsible disclosure, hack Visma, and claim your swag. So if you're on the Hall of Fame, I know that many of the Norwegian really good pen testers are already on there. And a shout out to you. If you want to test, we're a great practice ground. We have some quite interesting services to test. So go at it and get your name on the Hall of Fame. And maybe sometimes in the future, I may be able to offer you a job.
Yes, thank you, Arbona. Fantastic and alone, Jonna. Very good job done. Thank you, Arbona.
Thank you.
Okay, if not anything else, thank you again, guys. Have a great day and see you soon.
Bye.
Og takk til dere som fulgte med. Så ses vi i neste presentasjon. Takk, takk.